This is the new smart logistics center of Chinese e-commerce giant JD. The 500,000 square meter facility is packed with the latest supply chain technology, but it wasn't too long ago that tasks such as shelving and packing were done manually by employees.
以前的话，基本全餐都是手工的，但是现在基本有一半以上的人都是节省的人力，全部由自动化的来进行一个实现，就减少了我们工作的一个强度和劳动。
Jiahao's situation highlights a bigger trend in China, the push towards automation. The Chinese labor market is facing a number of challenges, including an aging population and rising wages, issues that automation could help relieve.
It's still rapidly evolving. That aging population is a reality. China is now facing the challenge of potentially getting old before it gets rich.
JD.com's massive logistics park in Dongguan, South China can handle 1.6 million orders a day. Let's take a look inside.
After an order is placed, packages are transported to a sorting facility which is fully automated. There are 800 of these sorting chutes which help divide up packages destined for China's many different regions.
China's working-age population has shrunk by more than 5 million in the last decade as births have dropped. That makes automation at places like JD's logistics park even more necessary.
我觉得现在整个自动化有个非常大的优势，一个是它把一些复杂的动作简单化，也要把一些这个搬运的距离，然后去更加的高效，会把我们的员工的这种作业的劳动的强度把它降低。 其实这个的话是对整个效率的提升、成本的优化会很大的一个提升。
Qin Jiahao has been working at JD for around 6 years. A large part of his job has become automated too.
最有深刻的体验的话，就是一个工作时间这方面。工作时间的话，以前可能说经常会加班，但是我们自从有了这个自动化的一个设备之后，我们的一个上班时间 缩短了，现在基本都是可以从8、9个小时就可以完成下班了。然后第二个的话，就是我们微信上记录的一个步数，从以前的4、5万步，可能现在我一天只能走12000到13000就可以完成。我们的工作劳动强度是下降了很多。
What kind of tasks do you do differently now versus before?
以前的话，我这边主要是负责理货啊、上架那方面的一个工作，但是现在的话，基本是我们收完货之后，然后通过这个自动化的一个设备。 然后一个堆垛机把货收进来，然后放到一个指定的位置，然后再从指定的位置放到一个拣货橱位上。这个一环节的动作其实都是自动化完成的。我这边的工作的话，主要现在是负责这个自动化的一个逻辑和设备的调试，来实现最大化的一个人资的一个结合。
So, how did the Chinese labor force get here? It all started in the late 70s when China enacted its one-child policy to control its rapidly growing population.
Between the 1940s and the 1980s, the country's population doubled in size from over 500 million people to more than 1 billion. Over the next 40 years, that growth slowed to 40%. Today, the country's population is a whopping 1.4 billion, more than 4 times the size of the US. However, the proportion of China's working-age population is falling, dropping 6.8 percentage points from 2010 to 2020.
Despite efforts to reverse the trends, births fell in 2020. That was the 4th straight year of decline.
Automation, of course, is one of those big opportunities. And by that, we include digitization, both to the customer and more importantly, up the chain, back to suppliers. That is really going to be the driver of increasing all of that productivity in the financial sector. About 10 years ago, if you looked at the average productivity of a financial worker in China compared to, say, Europe, it was maybe 20%. Now it's closer to 40 or 50%. So still lagging, but to have that degree of change in the course of almost 5 years is almost unheard of.
It's not just the factories and warehouses that are seeing more automation. China's focus on areas like artificial intelligence is spurring rapid advancement in areas like driverless transportation.
The southern Chinese city of Guangzhou is a hub for some of China's tech companies to test their driverless cars. One such startup is WeRide. Users can hail one of the company's robo-taxis or ride on its driverless bus. Driverless cars can make jobs such as taxi drivers redundant and may even be applied in long-haul transportation modes eventually. I caught up with WeRide's CEO Tony Han to talk about the issues autonomous driving could solve.
One is the shortage of labor, especially in the concept of aging society. In China and also in US, in most of the developed country, human labor are getting more and more expensive. People need better paid, need more welfare. Think about if you want to get a chauffeur, you want to get a driver, it will be extremely expensive. And call taxis sometimes in the metropolitan cities and in some big cities is also very expensive. Can we find a cost-effective way to supply this kind of transportation service to everybody through autonomous driving? With development of artificial intelligence, we are able to make the car drive by itself with the input from all kinds of sensors. The other problems, things like we can make the city greener. Do we really need hundreds of thousands of cars in the city? And all over the city, you probably need maybe 1/10 of the autonomous driving cars to finish all this kind of transportation requests, and we can reduce the carbon dioxide emission to a big extent.
But of course, increasing automation could also lead to jobs disappearing altogether. With that brings challenges on how to reskill the population for the new age.
One study estimates that up to 220 million workers may need to transition between jobs by 2030, in part due to automation.
The good news about automation is that it actually works, that it tends to improve quality, reduce cost, reduce time required, all these good things. The bad news about automation is that it actually works, as in it takes out the human resources. And China's going to get it just like everywhere else to us, except bigger because China is bigger. So 226 million Chinese people will probably have to find a new job over the next 10 or 15 years because of automation. That, of course, is a massive challenge for the employer, and the employee, but also for government and for society as a whole.
And companies will have a key role to play.
自动化来说，我们有个概念叫人机协同，人资 CP。我们会人怎么把设备，然后去用得更加的高效，然后结合整个这个操作的话，更加的顺畅，这种协同会更加高效。我们会来看设备会更加的匹配，然后人的操作是不是更加的便利，是这么一些场景。然后延伸到我们人怎么具备这些能力呢？那我们平时会把每一个设备的运作的功能、操作的要点，然后一些关键的一些风险的管控、安全的管控，我们会跟这个员工培训，每天，然后每周甚至每月去把员工的技能去不断去给他培训固化，让他的操作更加的标准、更加的专业，然后跟我们的设备的匹配程度会越来越高，协同性会越来越高，就把我们的设备的效率用到了极致。把人的这个技能也同步在提升，这样的话就把我们的人机的协同做到最优，成本也会做到最优，效率也提到最高，是这么一个情况。
Hey guys, thanks for watching. What do you think about automation? Are you in a job that benefits from automation, or is it threatened by it? Let us know your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.